Hey trackies, welcome back to another video here on TXC Track Time. Please remember to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Alright, so trackies, when I start a video laughing, y'all know I'm gonna say some wild stuff. But anyway, just prepare yourselves mentally. So, the Jamaican Athletics Administrative Association has released the team that will be heading to the World Indoor Championships, and that is the Jamaican team that will be heading to the World Indoor Championships. So, I'm going to go ahead, Chuckies, and I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get into who is representing Team Jamaica, and then, of course, I'm going to tell you my thoughts, honest but quite blunt thoughts, or blunt but very honest. Oh my gosh, but track is, to be fair, I've been hinting at this, championship, for Jamaica looking pretty dismal this season, right? And it's not because Jamaica isn't good enough. Let's just get that clear. Jamaica is definitely good enough to head to this World Indoor Championships and potentially dominate. Maybe one day in the future when we start to care, a bit more, that this can happen. But as it stands now, that's definitely not the case this year. A lot of our top athletes are not going. And let's be clear, most of the countries that are heading into indoor championships are sending their best athletes, no questions asked. From the United States, we see with the Noah Lyles, doing his thing. Of course, most notably, I have to say Tia Jones, who tied the world record for America, is missing on their hurdles team. But for the most part, again, they're still sending the best available for themselves in each event. So, Jamaica don't really feel no way, as it relates to what's currently happening because, again, we have the manpower, but they're just opting not to go. With that said, we do have athletes that are going trackies, and let's get into the athletes. So as it stands right now, straight off the bat, just looking at the amount of participants for me tells you exactly what's really going from a Jamaican perspective. The mere fact that we can't even fill out a men's 4x4 relay team to me is wild. You know what I mean? I don't think I can recall, do we typically have a men's 4x4 team? I would hope so. You know what I mean? I would hope so that we have one from an indoor perspective. But it's not looking good when you can see events missing athletes. I mean, you only get two in each individual athlete, and from a male perspective, you only see one in the 60, one in the 60-meter hurdles for the women. I mean, Natalia Gould is the only representative on a female side, not taking up an extra slot in the triple jump, the throws as well, trackies. So yeah, it is definitely not the strongest team by any stretch of the imagination that Jamaica is sending to the World Indoor Championship. So Shelly Forbes is here, Brianna Williams is here, and Tina Clayton is here for a reserve. That's women 60 meters. And of course, on the opposite end, the male spectrum, there is Ackeem Blake. Now, in the women's 60-meter hurdles, the only entrant, again, as I said, is Megan Tapper. Tyler Mason goes, and Damian Thomas. A reserve would be Gianna Roberts. That's the men's 60-meter hurdles. Stacey-Ann and Cherokee go in the women's 400, while on the opposite spectrum, we have Rashid McDonald representing in the men's 400 meters. Then, as it relates to the relay, we have Janelle Brumfield. Interesting. We were speaking about her, recently, and where she goes from here in terms of representing, Jamaica. I said, quite bluntly that based on how things are looking, it looks like her focus has pretty much switched. So my expectation, is not really having any. So it's interesting seeing her here though in this lineup. Stephanie and McPherson. Well, then again, Noah is going to the World Indoor Championship, so I guess. Stephanie and McPherson is here. Stacey and Williams is here. Anjanette Knight is here. Leah Anderson is here. Laneta V. Thomas is here. And Cherokee Young. And I'll get into that 4x4 trackies. And then next up, we have Natalia Gould in the 800 meters. As I said, there's nobody in the men 4x4. Another solid event, which I'll get into, is the long jump. Kira McLeod and Tajli Gale. In the long jump, we have no women representing in the long jump. Kimberly Williams representing the triple jump. No male entrants as well in the triple. Then in the shot put, we have Daniel Thomas Dodd and we have Rajendra Campbell. So that's pretty much the team. I didn't even count it, but oh my gosh, this is probably like, I don't even want to say this is 20 people. I don't even know. This is a handful of people. You know what I mean? So with that said, trackies, let's just be clear. Based on the performances that I'm seeing so far this season, individually, I'm only expecting a few athletes to figure when it comes to medals. One of the athletes I'm expecting to figure is Akeem Blake. So far, he has a 6.45 indoors this season, which puts him right up there with the best Noah Lyle 6.43, Christian Coleman 6.44. So he's definitely in the conversation when we talk about potentially medaling. When it comes to Akeem, clearly it execution. Well, you know what? Then again, let me not say Akeem. Everybody, there clearly it's down to execution. But I pinpoint for him execution because I remember what happened in his last race. There was a false start right before the gun went, and it clearly affected him more than it affected anybody else. So he definitely has to get out of his head in that aspect because it's a championship. Things like this will happen because a lot of people are, nervous, and his nerves may get rattled if in a final or in the 60-meter final somebody false starts, before the race goes off cleanly. If that's the case, then he may not have his best execution. So that's the only thing I'd say for him. He definitely has to just get out of his head in that aspect and just run his race. And I believe if he runs a solid race, then he can definitely be a part of the medals. No, other area that I'm looking at clearly is the long jump for the men. So Kerry McLeod and Tajay Gale. No, things have changed a little bit when it comes to the long jump because we see the youngster, the under 20 athlete there from Italy doing really good. Tied world lead with Wayne Pinnock there. Miltida Tentaglu is also in the conversation. So right now, even though Kerry McLeod and Tajay Gale have both jumped over 8 meters this season and are up there in the world, they will have some challengers. But I'm hoping that on the day, like proven at World Championships, they will definitely step up and be way out there in terms of their performances. Within what you'd say is expected from an athlete of their caliber. As long as we get that, then I believe that they can figure into the medals as well. So that's Akeem, Kiri, and Tajay. On an off chance, I would possibly say Rajendra. You know what I mean? For a medal, but again, he's not really top ranked in the throws this season so far. But again, let us see when he goes to the championships if he'll be able to navigate the rounds. No, as it relates to the other athletes, trackies. Let's start with the women's 60. And this is just being real based on the performances that I've seen so far. I'm not expecting what I've seen so far. Julian 699, Dosso Iwa, 701, 702, and then we also have Aliyah 702 as well. I'm not seeing our Jamaican athletes being able to contend with the 702 just yet. Now, Sasha Lee Forbes has been our best indoor athlete so far this season, and that is 7.1, right? So with that said, clearly not really challenging the best up there. Now, when it comes to Brianna Williams, we haven't really seen her pop out of the block so far this season. Now, I'm interested to see what will happen at the championships because, as I said, she has this way of turning on when the championships comes, right? So I expect her switch to flip when she gets to the championships. Will it be enough to contend again for a medal? I'm not thinking it will be enough to contend for a medal, but again, let us see when we get to the championships. For now, my front runners, as I've always been saying, Julian, Eva, Dosso, and also Aliyah Hobbs. Megan Topper, recently she just broke 8 seconds for the first time. I was actually shocked. So when it comes to medaling again in this 60-meter hurdles, though it's hurdles and anything can happen, for me, I'm not even remotely thinking that she's able to medal. Does Jamaica have people that could have potentially been challenging for a medal here? Yes, they chose not to go. Akira Nugent, Danielle Williams chose not to go. So it is what it is. We just have to move on with our lives. Natalia Gould. No, this is my other, off shot chance at a medal. But problem is when it comes to Natalia Gould, I haven't seen her run that 800 meters so far this season. Or the full 800, that is. She did run out 800, and I was advised that the plan was for her to run 600 and then stop, I think. So with that said, right, I haven't seen the full 800 to say, okay, what are her times in comparison to the rest of the world? But as we all know, she is a world-class 800-meter athlete. So if she turns up and she turns up in great shape, then, she is a off-shot medal for me as well. So medal opportunity. So far, when I talk about medal opportunities, I touched on Akeem, I touched on Kiri and Tajay, and I also touched on Natoya. So those for me are my medal shots. Kimberly, nowhere in terms of the ranks in the world so far this season as well. And Daniel Thomas Dodd still has some throwing to throw in order to get there in the top rank. So men's hurdles now. Tyler Mason, Damian Thomas. When I look at the times they're running, so Damian Thomas is our best, I believe, right now, hurdler. So I'll have to check the times, but I believe they're both in 7-6 this season in terms of times. So with that said, that's Tyler Mason and Damian Thomas, right? So with that said, Grant is already breaking the world record over there with 7 2s, and of course everybody else in America is running 7 4s. High threes, high 7 3s. So with that said, I don't think we stand a chance of medaling in this event as well. The 400 meters, it's going to be interesting. I saw Rasheen run a pretty, interesting 400 recently, but again, I was advised that was also the plan to go out hard, for that first, I think it was what, 250 or 300 of the race, and then that was it. So let's see what he does in this 400, but I'm not expecting anything here as well. No, the one of the biggest events, and this is where I think Jamaica can get a gold. Best believe it. I think Jamaica could possibly walk away with gold. And this is the 4x400 meters. Now, we won the gold last time around. I hope people remember. So this time around, I believe that Jamaica can walk away with gold here. And that is the 4x4. Now, we see Janelle, Stephanie, and McPherson. Not really focusing on Janelle and Stephanie and McPherson, to be fair, right? I'm looking at now where we have Stacey-Ann Williams, Anjanette Knight, Leah Anderson, Laneta V. Thomas, and also Cherokee Young. It's going to be interesting to see which 4 they select. But as far as I'm thinking based on time so far, I think and I think Lane is the fastest 400 meters so far indoors for Jamaica. So Lane is a definite shoe in for the finals. But interestingly, and I've been talking about it, and look what comes to pass now. See, Anjanette here are run in a 4x4. Best believe you, when Paris comes, Anjanette should be in the conversation when we're creating our Paris 4x4 team. But that's another story. I talked about her recently and said she should be in the conversation. But yeah, Anjanette is here. She's been looking solid this year in the 4. And I'm talking about 4 indoors. Great. So that's 2 solid legs. And Stacey, as I said, has been running really good as well. No, also trackies. I think I can probably split the difference between Leah Anderson and Cherokee Young as it stands right now, as it relates to that 4th spot. But those 5 that I mentioned, /4, depending on who is the last person selected for the team, can challenge for gold. When you look at other teams, I'm looking at 2 major teams right now, clearly. I'm looking at the United States of America, and I'm also looking at Netherlands. So Netherlands goes in with a solid 2 people, really, really good. Leake on the verge of breaking into sub sub 50, right? And of course, what's her name, Femke Ball, just recently shattering her own or breaking her own world record. So that said, that's a solid 2 legs, but it takes 4, right? I think that Jamaica, what if they structure this team correctly and everybody puts in an effort, can, even though they have that strong 2 legs, can still figure in the bigger scheme of things. Now, when I look at the USA team so far, trackies, let me just pull back up that USA team because I have it here with me, right? And it's something I wanted to just discuss a little bit later. Now, when it comes to the 4x4 relay pool for the women, we have Alexis Holmes, Talitha Diggs, Quinara Hayes, and Bailey Lear. So for me, Alexis Holmes and Talitha Diggs are really 2 strong athletes for them this season. But again, it takes the whole team. So based on what I'm looking at right now, Jamaica is definitely in the conversation for this 4x4. Could walk away with gold again. Let's see how that goes. But for now, trackies, that is it. As it relates to the Jamaican team, let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section below. I did say, things would be looking quite dismal and we should temper expectations this season for the indoors. And, my thoughts hasn't really changed there, but there's still opportunities for medaling. So let me know your thoughts. As I said, like the video, of course, and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.